Imagine standing at like 8,000 feet above sea level. You know, you've just spent the last few hours trekking up this steep, super dusty trail.
And your legs are just totally burning at this point.
Oh, completely on fire. And now you are looking out over this massive, surreal field of jagged black lava rock. The air up there is really thin, and there is this faint, sharp smell of sulfur in the wind.
It's a very otherworldly vibe, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And in the distance, you can actually see the towering peaks of 3 other massive volcanoes just like piercing through the clouds. But you aren't just taking in the scenery right now.
No, you're doing something much weirder.
Right. You are currently crouching down, holding a little wooden stick, and trying to roast a marshmallow over an actual living steam vent that's breathing out from the center of the earth.
Which is just, I mean, it highlights this totally fascinating, almost absurd quirk of human psychology.
It really does.
We have this primal, deep-seated drive to take something terrifying, a geological force that's capable of pure destruction, and, you know, just use it as a novelty campfire to toast a childhood treat.
It is the ultimate juxtaposition.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the Travel Podcast by ExcursionPass. We are so glad you're here.
Yes, welcome. It is great to be here.
Today we are doing a really fun, custom-tailored deep dive. We know that when you're looking at these big bucket list adventures, you don't just want the glossy brochure rundown. You want the reality.
Right, you want the hidden details, the mechanics, and, well, to know what it actually feels like before you ever pack your bags.
Exactly. We'd love to anticipate those exact doubts and objections you might have about these experiences. It's like we want to take you by the hand and walk you through every detail so it feels like you're already living the trip while you're just listening to us.
Spot on. So today, our mission is to unpack a thick stack of travel reviews, tour details, and some wild geological data from ExcursionPass and TripAdvisor.
We are figuring out exactly what to expect from the highly rated Pacaya Volcano hike and picnic adventure in Guatemala.
Yes. So whether you are, actively booking a flight to Central America right now, or you just love living vicariously through geological adventures from the safety of your couch, we are breaking down every single thing you need to know.
And I gotta say, there's a massive amount of nuance to parse through in these sources.
Oh, totally. Because treating an actively erupting mountain like a casual tourist destination, that requires some serious unpacking.
Right, both scientifically and logistically. So let's start right there with the geographical reality of where we actually are.
Good place to start.
Before we even lace up our hiking boots and talk about the trail itself, we have to understand the canvas. Guatemala is roughly the size of Pennsylvania.
Your take, yeah.
Yet the sources point out it is home to more than 37 volcanoes. 37.
It's a staggering number for that amount of landmass.
It's like the entire country is sitting on top of a literal geological pressure cooker.
It really is. And, to understand why that pressure cooker exists, you actually have to look at the tectonic plates miles below the surface.
The stuff we can't even see.
Exactly. So Guatemala sits right on the western edge of the Caribbean plate. And just off the Pacific coast, you have the Cocos Plate, which is actively subducting.
Meaning it's diving underneath.
Yeah,
right.
It is constantly diving underneath the Caribbean plate. That immense friction, just the grinding of billions of tons of rock, literally melts the crust into magma.
Which is mind-blowing to even pick.
Right, and then that magma forces its way up through the weakest points in the Earth's crust, forming this massive, jagged chain of volcanoes that we call the Ring of Fire.
Okay, so you have this incredibly volatile, churning foundation. But out of all those 37 peaks, Pacaya is the one that gets this massive influx of daily tourist traffic.
It does. It's wildly popular.
The sources point out that while it sits about 8,000 feet above sea level, it features relatively gentle, sweeping slopes.
Yeah, it's highly accessible compared to, some of the sheer technical rock climbing walls you'd find nearby.
Now, that accessibility is the initial draw. But it also introduces this massive, glaring tension in the marketing materials that I just could not get past.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say. The contradiction.
Yes. I was reading through the excursion itineraries, and it literally stopped me in my tracks. On one hand, the tour describes this as an easy to moderate hike.
Right.
It explicitly advertises that it is safe for ages 0 to 70. You could theoretically have an infant in a carrier and a grandparent walking side by side.
A nice little family outing.
But in the exact same paragraph, it proudly states that Pacaya is a living volcano with Strombolian and occasionally Plinian activity.
Yeah, that is a jarring combination of words.
Let's pause on that. Plinian activity. Isn't that the exact classification of the eruption that buried the city of Pompeii?
Yes. Yes, it is.
How do you reconcile a casual family picnic with a mountain capable of a Plinian eruption? It sounds completely reckless.
It sounds insane when you put those two concepts next to each other. But, to make sense of it, we have to look at the actual mechanics of how magma behaves.
Okay, walk me through it.
So, Strombolian activity, which is Pacaya's standard everyday baseline, is relatively mild. If you imagine, like, a thick pot of tomato sauce boiling on a stove.
Okay, I'm visualizing the sauce.
A bubble of gas rises to the surface, it bursts and throws a little bit of sauce into the air.
Right, it splatters a bit.
Exactly, that's a Strombolian eruption. The gas bubbles burst at the top of the magma conduit and they eject glowing cinders and lava bombs in small, localized arcs.
Okay, so it's basically a localized fireworks show. If you keep your distance, the tomato sauce doesn't splash you.
Exactly, you stay out of the splash zone. But the Plinian aspect is what involves those towering columns of suffocating ash and pyroclastic flows.
This is the terrifying part. So why does this one mountain do both?
Well, it comes down to the changing viscosity of the magma and really the buildup of gas over decades. Sometimes the magma gets thick, trapping the gas until it violently explodes.
That does not make me feel better about taking a toddler up there.
I know. But the word that makes this entire excursion ethically and physically possible, like, the absolute key to the source material is monitored.
Okay.
Monitored.
Pacaya is one of the most intensely surveilled pieces of real estate in all of Central America.
I really want to dig into that. Because when I hear monitored, I imagine, like, a park ranger with binoculars just looking for smoke at the top of the peak.
Right, just squinting at the summit.
Yeah, but we're talking about anticipating millions of tons of subterranean magma. How does monitoring actually guarantee the safety of a tourist on a hike?
It relies on highly sensitive scientific instrumentation. It's not just a guy with binoculars. Volcanologists deploy networks of tilt meters and GPS sensors across the entire mountain.
To measure what exactly?
Ground deformation. Literally, as magma rises from deep within the earth and fills the chamber, the sheer volume of it causes the entire mountain to physically swell and bulge outward.
Whoa.
And those sensors detect the shifts down to the millimeter. So the mountain physically takes a deep breath before it blows.
That is a perfect way to describe it. Exactly that. Furthermore, they're constantly measuring seismic tremors.
Like earthquakes.
Sort of, but they aren't just looking for tectonic earthquakes. They are listening for harmonic tremors.
What does that mean?
It's a specific, sustained humming vibration. It's caused by magma physically forcing its way through narrow rock fissures underground.
Wow, so the mountain hums.
Yeah, it hums. Combine that with measuring the chemical ratios of sulfur dioxide in the gas emissions, and scientists have a very, very clear picture of the volcano's mood.
Okay, so by the time the mountain is even thinking about shifting from a localized Strombolian burp to a dangerous Plinian column, the sensors have been screaming about it for days or even weeks.
Exactly. The operators only run these tours when the baseline data is completely stable. If the mountain swells even a fraction of an inch beyond safe parameters, the national park authorities shut the trails down immediately. So you aren't rolling the dice on getting caught in a catastrophic eruption. You are relying on rigorous modern geology.
That fundamentally shifts my perspective. The appeal isn't a death wish. It's the thrill of getting as close as humanly possible to raw destruction, armed with the comfort of knowing science has built an invisible safety net around you.
Exactly. It's calculated awe.
While knowing the mountain isn't going to just ambush us out of nowhere, let's talk about the physical reality of getting up there. From the cobblestone streets to the ash trails, what does this journey actually look like?
The logistical curation is quite seamless, honestly. Your experience usually begins right in the heart of Antigua, Guatemala.
Which is gorgeous.
Oh, it's stunning. It's the 16th century colonial city filled with Baroque architecture. The meeting point for the tour operator, Columbus Guatemala Travel, is usually near the famous Yellow Arch of Santa Catalina.
Okay, very picturesque start.
Very. And from there, you get private air-conditioned transportation for the hour-long drive to the base of the mountain.
But, and we have to be honest here, that air conditioning is the last luxury you're going to feel for a few hours.
Oh, absolutely.
The excursion details are very firm on the physical requirements. We are talking about a 4 to 5 hour round-trip hike.
Yeah, it's not a walk in the park.
Not at all. The terrain is not a paved park trail. It's heavily exposed, and it consists primarily of volcanic rock and loose ash. I was trying to picture what hiking on volcanic ash actually feels like, and from what reviewers describe, it's akin to walking up a steep incline in deep, dry beach sand.
Which is exhausting.
Right. Every time you plant your foot, the ground just absorbs a massive amount of your kinetic energy. You slide back half an inch for every inch you gain.
Which is why sturdy walking shoes are non-negotiable. You can't do this in flip-flops.
No way.
Add in the high altitude, which makes breathing slightly more difficult, and the intense Central American sun beating down on exposed rock. You absolutely need serious sun protection and plenty of water. It is a strenuous physical environment.
And yet, it's not some isolated, solitary wilderness expedition where it's just you battling the elements alone.
No, not at all.
This is where the deep dive gets really interesting to me. I was digging into a fantastic review from a traveler named Susan S. Dunwoody. She hiked Pacaya in April of 2026, guided by a local named Uber and a driver named Felix.
I read that review. It's so good.
It really is. The picture she paints completely shattered my expectation of a desolate, lonely volcanic wasteland.
Because the trail is incredibly active. It operates almost like a vital local artery.
Highly active. Susan notes that as you are grinding out this steep uphill climb, panting in the thin air, you are constantly sharing the trail with local working horses and stray dogs just casually trotting past you.
It's just another Tuesday for them.
Exactly. And then she drops this incredible anecdote. Mid-hike, her group is startled by a snake right in the middle of the path.
Oh, man.
Now, for most tourists, encountering a snake on a volcano is a panic-inducing moment. But her guide, Uber, and the other locals, they just laughed it off. They literally referred to the snake as a trail pet.
That reaction reveals so much about the cultural dynamic of this hike. I love that.
It's hilarious.
It really is, because for you, the tourist, this is a bucket list adventure into extreme terrain. But for Uber and the local community, this actively erupting volcano is just their daily office. It's literally their backyard.
It's like being stressed out about gridlock traffic on your morning commute, and your cab driver just shrugs, smiles, and turns up the radio.
Right.
It immediately recontextualizes the danger. When you are surrounded by working horses, stray dogs commuting up the ash, and a guide who considers a venomous reptile a neighborhood mascot, it just strips away the anxiety.
It grounds the entire experience in reality. You realize that nature, even in its most volatile and intimidating forms, is something people live alongside and adapt to every single day.
Yeah.
The normalization of extremity puts you entirely at ease.
I think that's why people emphasize the guides so much of these reviews.
Yeah.
You aren't just paying for someone to point out the trail. You are paying to borrow their psychological comfort level in an alien environment.
That is a great way to put it.
So you push through the heat, you navigate the loose ash, you say hello to the trail pets, and you finally reach the summit area, or at least the highest allowable safe elevation.
And this is where the physical effort pays massive dividends.
The payoff.
Assuming the weather is clear, you break through the tree line and are treated to those sweeping panoramic views of Agua, Acatenango, and Fuego. The sheer scale of standing on the flank of one volcano and looking across the valley at three other giants is just humbling.
But the immediate microenvironment at your feet changes drastically, too.
Yeah.
You leave the lush vegetation behind and enter this massive, stark field of jagged black lava rock. It looks like the surface of the moon.
It really does.
And dotted across this lunar terrain are the famous steam vents.
Geologically, these are called fumaroles. What's happening here is that meteoric water, so rain or surface runoff, seeps down into the porous volcanic rock.
Okay.
It travels deep enough to be superheated by the magma chamber below, turns into steam, and then forces its way back to the surface through microfissures in the rock.
Which brings us to the absolute centerpiece of the marketing brochure. The whole hook of this excursion is that you get to roast marshmallows over these warm volcanic vents, followed by a picnic.
The ultimate photo op.
Right. Now, I have a naturally skeptical mind. When I hear roast marshmallows over a lava vent, I picture a roaring jet of flame perfectly caramelizing the sugar in seconds.
Like a blowtorch.
Exactly. But does that actually work, or is it just a clever tourist gimmick to get people to take pictures for Instagram?
Well, to answer that, we have to look at the thermodynamics of those fumaroles. The heat distribution is incredibly chaotic.
Makes sense, it's nature.
Right. It depends entirely on the plumbing of those microfissures, which can shift open or close daily. Add in the fact that you were at 8,000 feet, where high winds quickly dissipate heat into the air, and the results vary wildly.
So it's luck of the draw.
Very much so. Sometimes a vent is hot enough to toast a marshmallow instantly. Other times, as Susan found in her review, it's a completely different story.
Right. She gave us the unvarnished truth on this one. She explicitly noted that the lava holes they found that day, quote, barely warmed their marshmallows.
So the grand marketing gimmick fell completely flat for her group.
It totally did. But this is where the narrative takes a brilliant turn.
Uh,
Did a lukewarm marshmallow ruin her 8,000-foot hike? Not at all. Because her guide, Uber, and his wife had prepared a backup plan that ended up stealing the show entirely.
what was it?
Susan wrote that Uber's wife had made them a delicious, authentic homemade lunch to eat right there at the summit. She literally wrote the phrase, "no marshmallows needed."
That is amazing. That detail perfectly captures the reality of travel versus the expectation of travel.
It really does.
We book these trips for the spectacular, Instagram-worthy moments, the primal thrill of cooking over magma. But the things that actually leave a lasting impact, the things that compel someone to log on to TripAdvisor and write a glowing review, are almost always the unscripted moments of human connection.
The contrast is what makes it so powerful to me. You are sitting on a hostile, barren field of jagged black rock that was molten earth just a few years ago. You are surrounded by the terrifying power of the Ring of Fire.
Right.
And what saves the day? A sandwich made with care in a local kitchen. It's the ultimate triumph of human warmth over geological heat.
That is beautiful. It completely humanizes the extreme environment. It proves that a truly great tour operator isn't just facilitating a physical hike. They are hosting you in their home territory.
Which is the perfect pivot into the logistics.
Let's get it.
If you are listening to this right now and thinking, I want the panoramic views, the chaotic lava vents, and the homemade lunch, how do you actually make this happen and what does it cost?
Well, looking at the data from ExcursionPass and TripAdvisor, you're generally looking at a price point between $175 and $205 per adult.
Okay.
And we should reiterate the physical restrictions here. While it is open to a wide age range, it is unequivocally not wheelchair accessible.
Right. Given the terrain.
Due to the physical exertion and the uneven sliding ash, it's strictly not recommended for pregnant travelers or anyone with heart conditions, back problems, or serious medical issues.
Which is completely illogical given the environment.
Yeah.
But I want to challenge that price tag for a moment.
Sure.
$200 per person for a 5-hour excursion in Guatemala is a premium price point. Are you just paying a massive markup for the mere right to step foot on the mountain? Or is there tangible value justifying that cost?
The value is in the curation, and specifically in the reputation of the operator. The company running the specific package is the Columbus Guatemala Travel. Across 235 reviews, they hold a 4.9 out of 5 rating.
Wow. Maintaining a 4.9 in the outdoor excursion industry is incredibly difficult.
It is almost unheard of.
Because you're at the mercy of things you cannot control. Sudden weather shifts, traffic in a 16th century city, or, a tourist getting altitude sickness.
Yeah.
To keep a 4.9 means your staff is exceptional at handling adversity in real time.
And that ability to manage adversity is exactly what you are paying for. The reviews consistently single out guides by name Roberto, Esteban, Felix, Uber. Reviewers praise their deep historical knowledge, their cultural insights, and their fluency in English and Spanish.
You aren't just hiring a chaperone.
No, you are hiring a cultural interpreter who bridges the gap between you and an alien environment.
And you are hiring a dedicated crisis management team. I found a review that completely sold me on this company's premium pricing.
Oh, let's hear it.
A traveler was on a multi-day trip with Columbus, Guatemala, guided by a guy named Esteban. At the end of the trip, someone in the group realized they had accidentally left a bag containing valuables in the transport vehicle.
Oh, no.
Right? In many travel scenarios, especially in a bustling tourist hub, a lost bag is just gone forever.
It is the classic nightmare scenario that usually ruins an entire vacation.
But the reviewer detailed how the company went completely above and beyond. They didn't just shrug and offer an apology. They located the bag immediately and then acted incredibly fast to physically forward the bag to friends of the traveler who were still back in Antigua.
Wow.
Yeah, successfully reuniting them with their valuables before they even left the country.
See, that level of logistical support is what the $200 price tag actually buys you. You are purchasing a safety net in a developing nation's infrastructure.
Exactly.
You get the air-conditioned transit, the scientific safety monitoring of the volcano, the bilingual expert guide, the homemade food, and a team that will literally track down your lost valuables across the country if you make a mistake. They take the rugged, unpredictable nature of a Central American mountain and engineer it into a seamless, accessible luxury experience.
It really reframes the whole excursion. So what is the ultimate takeaway here for you, our listener? We've unpacked the tectonic pressure cooker, the deep ash trails, the trail pets, the thermodynamics of lukewarm marshmallows, and the premium logistics.
I think the core takeaway is that hiking Pacaya with a top-tier operator is just an incredible synthesis. You get to experience the raw, intimidating geology of the Earth, perfectly balanced by unbeatable local hospitality.
Yes.
It's a mild physical challenge that rewards you with access to an environment you simply cannot replicate anywhere else.
And it's a brilliant reminder that when we travel, we really have to embrace the unscripted moments. You book the ticket for the fiery lava event and the perfect photo op, but you leave remembering the guide who laughed at a snake and the incredible homemade meal that rescued the picnic.
Totally. And looking at the bigger picture, it leaves us with something quite profound to consider about ourselves.
It really does, because weaving through this entire deep dive is a very strange psychological question. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
We started by imagining you standing at 8,000 feet, reaching out toward a steam vent. But take a step back from that image. What is it about human nature that draws us to do this?
It's a great question.
Why do we actively pay a premium and expend massive physical effort to seek out proximity to something as volatile, destructive, and terrifying as a living volcano, just to have a picnic? What does that deep-seated desire to play at the very edges of destruction say about our relationship with the Earth's most primal forces?
A truly fascinating contradiction to ponder.
It is. Well, until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and maybe keep an eye out for those trail pets.